Afternoon, everyone. Welcome to another edition of Dojo Live. This is Tulio Sirgusa. I'm broadcasting from Los Angeles. And today is Wednesday, June 24th, 2020. Can you believe half a year has already gone by? I'm joined today by my co-hosts, Carlos Ponce, just outside of Mexico City, and Kim Lantis in Hermosillo, Mexico. Today, we have a guest, Daniel Glickman, who's with Video.Wave, and Daniel is a world-renowned marketer. I'm looking forward to speaking with you today. Why don't we get started by you introducing yourself to the audience? Please tell us a little bit about yourself. Yes,
just one thing, it's Wave.video. It's like...
Oh, I did it backwards. Wave.video. Yeah. I had a dyslexic moment. I apologize. Right. Please, Daniel, introduce yourself. Thank you.
Thank you, Carlos, for that. My name is Daniel Glickman. For those in the audience who haven't met me, haven't seen me yet, I'm the CMO at Wave.video. I also have a bit of a personal brand there, but that's less of the interesting story about me. So I did write a couple of books, Personalized This and Disrupt That. That was about 4 years ago, I think. And the Disrupt That is still very, very relevant. It's about how to essentially manage marketing in a startup, or how to manage marketing like a startup, in a sense. How we're all disruptors, or we will be disrupted, right? And go very practical into that. I see I'm the only one on the camera here. I'm getting a little bit camera nervous because I'm supposed to.
You're doing fine. You're doing fine.
Talking about myself.
Yeah, you're good.
All the attention's on you.
Yeah.
My lips, your voice. I live in Boston, Mass, and right outside Boston with my family. And these days, I work out of my house right outside of Boston. And you might hear the lawnmowers going off. They showed up just as we started the live. So that's COVID for you, right? That's what. And FYI is talking about video marketing today. Now that's acceptable, right? We can bring our kids on professional shows. We can have lawnmowers in the background. We can have a dirty clothing. I saw something from the New York Times reporting, and the journalist was filming from home themselves, right? And they were showing the room with all the clothing on the floor and everything, and it was more authentic. It was real, and I connected to that, right? That is now okay. That was unthinkable maybe 2 months ago, 4 months ago, right? It would be unthinkable.
I had to say, I'm still showing off my pile of dirty laundry is a bit unthinkable to me. I am airing from my bedroom, actually, and it's a disaster. You want me to flip the camera?
No.
You're good, Kim.
That's nowhere as good as that guy who was on television with a jacket on and a shirt, and underneath was basically in his boxers, and you could see his boxers on the corner of the angle of the camera. So it doesn't get any more authentic.
I was doing an online video training yesterday, and suddenly it was like, we got a 7.5 earthquake right here. It was like, hold on one second, I gotta run. Okay, I'll be right back.
I might have to hide under a table. Well, Daniel, great to have you. Tell us a little bit about your company, Wave.video. What are you guys about?
So Wave.video is a video marketing platform. It allows you to make videos, to edit videos that you might have all in a browser, host them, share them online. And a big thing that we're pushing nowadays is repurposing of videos. So if you have videos, maybe a recording of a live show like this, take the recording and chop it up and use it on social media again. Make a teaser for it, make an intro and outro for it. So there are a bunch of different videos you can make around one piece of content. That's what we call video repurposing. So that's something that we're really proud of that in our platform you can do. You can also create video landing pages, basically everything you need for a video funnel. And that kind of leads us to the topic today, which is, video marketing is, am I stealing your thunder here? Am I introducing the topic too quickly, guys?
No, that's fine. Let's go right into it.
Not at all. Continue.
Kim's like, you're going to make my life a lot easier. Kim, why don't we introduce the topic of conversation, since Daniel's going right into it.
Well,
What's the topic of conversation?
Yes, obviously he's a seasoned video veteran and that content marketing professional. But yes, his topic that he chose today was video with a new content marketing, specifically how brands are building marketing funnels using video only. Now that's a strong word for me, only. So let's go into that.
Oh, wow. So yeah, big topic, right? So a shift that's been happening for the last maybe 3, 4, 5 years, slowly and then suddenly, is we've been seeing content. What was it called? There was a term that somebody coined for this. So it was content overload, right? There was so much content, nobody could ever read it. And
Right.
it would take a lot of time to write it. And essentially competition and content marketing, which we still think of as text, right? Blog posts. That's when we say content marketing, I think blog posts and PDFs. Then the competition became too difficult. It's too hot now to rank high in SEO, all of these things. And at the same time, the trend is consumer demand is they don't want to read as much, especially if you're going into the younger population, right? The younger they get, the less they read. So the trend, oh, wow, you got me following me there. Nice. So the trend has been shift to video. So the thought until maybe even last year has been, let's tag on a bit of video onto our content marketing. Let's do the content marketing the same way we've done before, inbound or content marketing, whichever strategy you go. And then, hey, how can we add a video? The challenge there, of course, is video is very expensive and very difficult. And so if you're adding it on top, it's just like, wait, but I see marginal increase in my performance because I'm still doing all the work I've done before, and I'm also doing video on top of it. And so I'm not getting a lot more results. But then you look at some brands that are doing well and they're really killing it on social. What are they doing? All video, right? So you sit there scratching your head. They're doing video and it's working for them. I'm doing video, it's not working for me. What's happening? Why is it not working? And this is the big shift that's been happening literally this year, is that brands are figuring out there's a strategy, there's a way to do this in a way that works. It's not just about volume. It's not just about getting up there making video. It's about doing it in a strategic way. I'll pause there and let you ask a question.
Well, yes, I'm curious as to what that strategy, I guess I have two questions for you that I personally would like to touch on. Number one, what is that strategy? What is the best strategy that should be followed? Or if that strategy, of course, changes depending on who you are, if you're just getting started or if you're a well-known brand, budget, capabilities, all of that type of stuff. But what is strategy? And then what could those companies or people who perhaps don't have that budget, who are just getting started, do? Like, what are the bare necessities?
Right. Okay. So the strategy essentially is very similar to what content marketing used to be, but think of it as video first, right? So it's a sequence of videos that leads to action. Okay. So once you think of it as a sequence of videos that leads to action, not just I'm just going to spray videos all over, it starts making sense. And you start realizing the nuances that are very different from content marketing. For instance, we're talking a lot more into the realms of social media. So we're starting with social media rather than starting with SEO, although there is an SEO component. Video, the video snippets and all of that, they rank, nowadays in Google and YouTube, etc. So we're bringing inbound from there as well. But we're starting with social media. The other thing is it's sequence, and you start using retargeting and targeting videos. So people have watched your videos on social media, right? So you can do that nowadays, both in Facebook and Google. So that's the way to do it. And the third is, where do you collect these leads or the lead gen? It's no longer that give me your email to download a PDF. It's join my group or join my, usually it's oftentimes a group, right? Let's be clear about that. So now you're joining the group, and in the group, again, you have videos and so on. Many times you have a section of free videos and paid videos, or free or educational videos, promotional videos. So educate, promote, educate, pitch, promote, right? That would be the sequence. Or free videos, paid videos behind some kind of wall. Those are the two basic models you've got there.
So Daniel, I've seen a transition over time, right? It used to be the big effort was any content you would put out was to invite people back to your site so you can collect the data, you can invite them to take action on your turf, right? I mean, that's the way it was traditionally done for a long time. And then you had marketers who got smart and started leveraging the platforms and doing promotions right on the platform, not worrying so much about where the traffic was landing as it was more about how do we convert the traffic into something actionable. And some companies struggled with that. It's like, what do you mean we're going to give up the traffic flow from our site and do all that traffic on LinkedIn or Facebook or Instagram? How do we control that? So for companies that are struggling with that still, what would be your words of advice? Are there use cases that show maybe a little bit more details of what you've given in terms of inviting them to a group and then you leveraging that to create an action step? What are companies that are struggling with that mindset? What do you recommend for them to think?
I'd say
how should they think about this?
Yeah, I think you still think in terms of funnel. So you still think in terms of where am I leading people to action, and where's the action happening? And at the end of the day, it's still you still measure by how many actions did they drive, right? Is it signups or is it sales or whatever it is, right? So if that happens on your property, it still has to go to your property, right? But selling doesn't have to happen on the property today. It can happen also off property. It can happen on different platforms as well for some brands, right? Especially consumer goods, et cetera, or B2C brands. It can happen off your property. But for those who sell on their property, then yes, you still have to bring traffic there. Okay, so you still want to measure it. The question is, how do you bring the traffic? And maybe the traffic comes in from, maybe the traffic first arrives at your site, then you bring them into some kind of group where you nurture them, or maybe the traffic first goes through the group and then to your site, but it still has to end up there where they can take the action, right? So that hasn't changed. Let's be very clear about that. We're not interested in creating huge brand awareness with no action. And I think this kind of, I think for a long time, we've thought of videos being only for brand awareness. And that's what the YouTubes of the world are, and those kind of companies. If you look at them, their goal is to essentially drive more views, not to drive action, right? Mm. Watch a video, watch another one, watch another one. Could be from the same provider, could be from a different provider, but that is not helpful for marketers who build funnels. Right, so we have something we call a video landing page, which is a title, a video, and a call to action. Nothing else on the page, just those three. And when you use something like that, rather than use a YouTube or a discovery platform, then you're driving people to the next step in the funnel. So what you just talked about is very true if you're only working on brand awareness. Brand awareness you can be anywhere. But we need to think of it, okay, we want a funnel. So when you're talking about funnel, you still think, okay, when is the next step in the funnel? Next step could be a group. Now in groups, you can also do amazing video marketing in groups, because groups, the engagement rate in groups, the engagement with the content is usually above 50%. So compared to a Facebook page or a YouTube channel, et cetera, where the engagement rate with your audience is very slight, right? Here, above 50%, that's huge. In email, you get 20% and you're super happy. So when you get more, and you can get more than 50% for a fixed audience.
That's like unheard of. Right. When you talk group, I want to specify, what groups are you talking about? Are these LinkedIn groups, Facebook groups, or private? What are you talking about in terms of groups?
But there are many other kinds of groups out there which you could work with, informal groups. The Facebook groups are now the hottest.
Okay.
Thing.
I've also heard it's a lot less expensive to do advertising that points back into a Facebook group when you're on Facebook than points outside of Facebook group. So it's actually a more economical way to get more traction. Is that accurate, or is that something that you're seeing as well? There's actually a value to doing that when you're advertising on Facebook. They tend to prefer more keeping the traffic inside of its own walls, if you will.
It makes perfect sense to me, but I don't know the numbers offhand, so I'm going to pass on that question. But I would, if I had to guess, I would say absolutely that would be the case.
Okay, so let's talk about your company. How do you help marketers create this process? If I wanted to get better at, one, engaging with the audience, inviting them to a group, creating a call to action, the steps you've talked about. Yeah. What is your company doing to enable that? How does it work?
Right. Okay. So we have a few components to our product or to our platform. We have a video editor, which is also a video maker. So whether or not you have some video content of your own, or you don't have any, you can still create the content there. So the kind of content you can create, we have a lot of templates that help you set it up and get moving. Could be something like a teaser for a live, or a video ad, or a promotional video. right? So that's the first step. Second step is hosting. So we can allow you can build a video landing page within essentially a click of a button. And the third is the ability to edit video. So you can take a recording, something like this, take any kind of maybe customer interviews, etc., quickly edit them online, add text on top of them, captions, whatever you need, and format them to the right channel. So if you need a story versus a horizontal, want to add them to your website, you can do them just from there. So essentially all the tools you need. We even have video and email, right? So all the tools you need to get the video out, to get the video created and get it out, are essentially packaged in one product here.
Do I have to be
I have a quick
sat? Go ahead, Carlos.
No, I was just going to say I'm focusing on your tagline, the one that you chose, which is how brands are building marketing funnels using video only. And as Kim highlighted it at the beginning when we were chatting off the air, the word "only" is kind of intriguing to me, to say the least, because then I cannot help but if I were, like, say, a company or a brand or someone who's trying to build a personal brand, and I'm thinking of video only, where does that, from your perspective, where does that leave, the rest of other more traditional approaches, like maybe inbound or content marketing or any other, even blog posts, written blog posts and all that? Where does that leave? Where does your proposal, what you're doing here with video only, where does that leave the rest of the other marketing tools that are more traditional in nature? Or are they left completely out, or is there a way like an overlap somewhere? Can you talk to me about that, please?
Oh, there's definitely an overlap, and there's definitely a case to still do inbound marketing and SEO. We do a lot of SEO. We bring in a tremendous amount of traffic through it. It's not, it doesn't exist. And there is an overlap. So when I say only, it's try to challenge yourself to think, how do I build a funnel video first, right? Not create the content, the text content, and then add a video on top of it, because the marginal add value that you're adding on is very little. But let's start with the video content. You have a live here, right? What is the campaign that you're building around that live? What is the call to action? Where does it lead to, right? And so maybe you need some text to go with it or something else, but it's video first, and it can be video only many times as well.
Okay.
There's an overlap. So for example, you could take this video recording and you could write you could print out, you could do a transcript of it, do a quick edit, maybe do a summary, and create a blog post with the video embedded right in the middle, right? Those who want to watch will watch, and the text gives you the SEO. And some people, like myself, are still readers. They like to read, right? I'm
right.
That sort of resonates, right?
Exactly. I think the variety of your audience is always going to exist, and like anything, trends, it's like a pendulum, right? Like you said, this need of distinguishing ourselves because there was so much content out there, and probably eventually there's going to be so much video. So what's going to happen? We're going to swing on back to the written content or something of that sort. One of the advantages that, go ahead. I'm sorry, Carlos.
No, I was just going to add like something real quick, which is I resonate with what Daniel is saying, because this is how Dojo Live started. We started with conversations, and then they got recorded on video, and they were just embedded onto a landing page. There was nothing else. It was just the video. And then, we started creating transcripts and blog posts and even audio podcast versions out of that video. But we started with the video. So as Daniel says, start with the video. That's pretty much what we're doing here, right? So that's
I'm listening. I'm like, we've done that. Check that. We've done that. That's exactly what we're doing.
Think of the operational value here with this mind shift, right? So when you're creating a blog post from scratch, you have to strategize the content, you have to figure it out, you have to organize it in your mind. That alone takes time and effort, right? The cost of creating a blog post today, if you look at this full time, the full cost, including designing everything else, you're talking about well over $1,000 by the time you're good and done. Some of us can do it for less, but let's if we're truly honest, it's expensive. The
and time consuming.
It's easy for us today to have a great conversation or great content on video. We can express ourselves easily. Yeah, it's a little bit organized, less organized, but we can put out our great ideas. So the production cost associated with this now is dramatically lower, because I can do a video like this online, right? I can then ship out. I can have an AI do the transcript, ship it out to a low-cost employee overseas, get them to rewrite it a bit, because the intellectual value is already in the video. I put it there already, right? So now I can have somebody that I can pay less to get the job done, to create that SEO content, all of that kind of stuff, and put it out there. So look how much less time, how much less effort, how much less money it can take to get it done. And now I have a piece of great content with video, which I can reuse in different ways as well. I'm not just stuck with that one blog post. Right?
I think there's value there. But one of my questions, let's go to the company culture side. What's the better approach here? Is it something that should be organic? Like your approach to the content that you're creating, the video, is just something that evolves over time? Or should we be a bit more analytical, a bit more calculated, and have this sort of conversation of who are we and who do we want to be versus who are we becoming?
Well, the ultimate question. So I think it really depends on the
Great question.
on your company culture and on your brand vision and identity, right? And your brand story. For me, working in a startup, I just had the same conversation with somebody who's a very well-known brand, and she was telling me, look, it took me 20 years to build my brand. You got to work it, figure, and then you don't step out before it's all figured out. And I'm like, listen, I'm in a startup. We hit the road running. Actually, we get into a car, we learn how to drive while we're in it, and we change the tire while we're speeding down the highway too, right? So that's how we do it. So it really depends on the company culture. I will say that it's become vastly more effective and more appropriate to be authentic or real. So if you're on a journey yourself, show the journey, be in that journey, right? Make it public. Don't try to hide it. It resonates so much better. If you're in COVID right now at home and the landscapers are there, or your laundry is on the floor, and that's where you are, then that's where you are, and that's how it works for you. So that's good. And now, if you try to hide stuff that you're not proud of, it's not. I mean, you don't have to share every piece of information, but it doesn't really work. People sense right through it. So pick the elements that you want to surface to bring out to the world, and make sure you bring them out fully. Don't go half. And if you're on a journey right now, bring out the journey.
Right. Authenticity and vulnerability are the new.
Yeah, I mean that's so powerful. I think so many brands show the aspirational truth versus where they really are, and people just see through that today. They just cut right through that today, and so you end up looking disingenuous. My question is, what's better, to have a video strategy around the brand itself, or individuals that are ambassadors for the brand? I've seen that shift more towards individuals putting out personalized content, so they essentially become the face of the brand. Is that still the trend, or is a hybrid? What's working? What works best in your opinion?
Absolutely. The more you can personify the brand, people don't buy an abstract brand in general, right? Unless the brand is like Coca-Cola, or they have billions of dollars poured into it over the years. Where people buy the personal connection. They want to know who's behind it. They want to know the values. They want to feel that there's something more there. And at the end of the day, business is done by people, right? So maybe not all the people in your company, and like at our company, a lot of our employees are camera shy to some extent, or maybe not quite as experienced, right? So you have to build it up slowly. So some of them, come in sometimes, some of them come in, and a few of us go up a lot, like myself, right? So we definitely need to be people our people need to be there. Without the people, it's a hollow brand. So you have to put the people out there. Now you have to be careful and think, who are the people they bring out? Do the people know that they represent the company? And you have to be willing to be transparent. So if you're, in old days, maybe you hired, I know a company that hires a lot of ex-cons. That's their thing. They hire ex-cons and they give them a great place to work, and it's kind of their mission. Is that something you want to be proud of? I would say it's awesome. But if you're bringing ex-cons into people's homes to do a service, right, you have to think carefully, how do I bring it out? How do I position it so it's seen as something great, not something threatening? So, but you want to lie to people and say, no, we don't bring ex-cons? No, you want to actually make it, so you have to have that level of transparency, willingness to be transparent if you're going to put your people out first. And if you can do it, great. Absolutely do it.
Fantastic. Daniel, talking about transparency, tell us a little bit about the culture of your company. What are some of the lessons you guys have learned as you're building this out in terms of how you're connecting with the employees? I'm always curious. We're always curious to learn about what's working in terms of the ins and outs of building the company, and what's not working. We'd love to hear stories of lessons you've learned along the process, and some of the other executives on the team that's making your place a better place to be, and a better place for employees as well. Please, if you could share that even recently with COVID-19, I'm sure there'll be others that will resonate with some of these stories. We'd love to hear them.
Yeah, there's something that actually first came to mind when you asked that question. I've never talked about this before, but I'm happy to. So we're an international company. We have 3 offices, one in Boston, one in St. Petersburg, Russia, and one in Lviv, Ukraine. And that's for historical reasons. We have our parent company has many more offices, and that's evolved. So amazing people in all 3 companies. There's some cultural differences between us, right? Not so much the culture of the countries. I mean, there's that too, and the language, subtleties of language, which make a difference. But simply every office had a slightly different hiring style. And so you end up having, and if anybody here is familiar with DISC profiling system, we did the DISC test, DISC assessment.
Yes,
and
I love that DISC assessment.
It's amazing. If there's any one thing I would say, about company culture is have everybody in your company do the DISC profiling system, and then compare and discuss it between each other. So it turned out that our Boston office was all like gung ho, get things done fast, get things moving, D's and I's.
DI's, yeah.
And the St. Petersburg office was all like C's, and the developers in Lviv were just like all over the map. So each office had their own culture, and so when they would talk and we would talk inside our offices, we would sort of have our own style and come up with certain ideas, and then they would have their own style. And then when we talked between our offices, there would be this friction and clash a bit, right? So about 2 years ago, that got a little bit disturbing. I wouldn't say, not disturbing in the sense that there was something bad, but in the sense that there was friction. There was clear friction there. So so we did the test and we talked about it, and things got dramatically better once we started understanding, they're all the cautious types. They're just bringing up all the issues up, ahead of time. They're not trying to stall. They're just bringing up all the issues, and they need to go through them one by one. Let's do that. So now we know, okay, in our meetings here, we go talk about ideas. We separate ideas from execution. We separate tactics from strategy. We have different conversations, and we try to organize things in conversation, and would state it. Would say very clearly, this is an idea, so feel free to brainstorm. Don't be threatened by it. Things like that. I would say, hey, this is let's talk specifically about our plan now. Okay, what is the exact plan? What are we doing? And that brought a lot of comfort and better communication into the mix, because people would be afraid to talk if they're like, oh my God, there's like this big thing. Are we supposed to do this tomorrow? What's happening? They couldn't tell the difference. But now that they know, they they feel much more freedom to speak because they're not. Nothing is stressful or intimidating.
What a great story. I particularly love DISC assessments. Personally, I think they're like the love language of business. Once you understand the language, you can relate and learn to communicate with each other in much more effective ways. And you could also see who adapts to cultural environments based on the DISC assessments as well, to in some cases fit in or survive. So we should have some kind of an app where each one of us alive walks around with it and it pops up, our own DISC assessments, so we know how to relate to each other and start having all the friction that we're having in society. Who knows? Maybe there's something like that that'll come out. But thanks for being vulnerable and sharing that with us. Sounds like you guys worked through it. So good words of wisdom. Any company with those kind of multicultural environments where friction is happening, maybe a DISC assessment is due, and use some of the tools on how to communicate. Daniel, it's been great to have you. We're up on time. It's been great to have you as a guest. We'd love to have you back sometime in the future and hear some stories about companies that have adopted your technology and some successes that they've had with it, and certainly love to hear those use cases in the future. And again, great to have you. And Carlos, what do we have for wrap up? We got another guest tomorrow, right?
Yes, we do, Tulio. We have Josh Scales, the CEO of Unity Health, which is a health tech company, very relevant these days, right? There's a lot of things going on in health tech. So that's who we have today right here on Dojo Live at 1 p.m. Pacific. Please join us tomorrow.
Thank you. And I want to remind you all that on Monday, we do the recap show. It's about 10 minutes. Any one of you who have listened that would like to participate, be one of the squares right here on the video and share your thoughts and what you've learned over the past week. We've got 3 shows you can check out, and it's going to be a fun recap. It'll be a challenge to do it in 10 minutes, but we're going to try. Thanks for joining us, and stay safe, everyone.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Thank you, everyone.
Stay with us, Daniel.